Hello, I'm Dr. Jane. This is Knowing Narcissism, and in today's video I wanted to talk about the psychology of a narcissist. People often want to know what a narcissist is and why a narcissist is a narcissist, because it just helps them with their understanding, their knowledge about narcissists, because then it helps them deal with the narcissist in their life. So if this is anything to do with you, grab yourself a tea or a coffee and come and join me. So first of all, people often want to know where a narcissist comes from. And of course, it's all those formative experiences. Now, narcissists will often come either from two very distinct camps. First of all, they'll come from that sense of entitlement, that they can do no wrong. I've heard stories about, as people that have got in relationships with narcissists older, and when the narcissist has told them about what their former life was like, they don't think, their formative years, their childhood, they don't think there's anything wrong with that. But the person that they're telling this to is appalled, thinking about what type of behaviour did they get away with. They didn't have to do anything. They never picked up after themselves. There was always excuses made for their poor and bad behaviour. I can remember one case of somebody who talked about the narcissist, about when they were a child, about how they would tease and torment animals around them. And of course, when they got barked at or, an animal reacted, of course, their parents, often the mother, it has to be said, not always, but often the mother, will then, of course, be defensive and aggressive towards the person that owned the pet in the first place, regardless of the fact that, their precious little child had been annoying and tormenting and hounding this poor dog or cat for months, weeks beforehand. So they have that sense of they don't have to take any responsibility at all for any of their actions whatsoever. They are, and the reason that, and we will talk about the mother of a narcissist, the reason that they mollycoddle them and wrap them in cotton wool and they can do no wrong so much is because they want to keep them close. If we go back one generation, often, when I'm talking to people in therapy, we'll talk about what's going on in their lives. We will go back one generation and sometimes we'll go back another so they understand what's going on. Because sometimes these things can be historical. If you think about a sort of like an atypical family where only the boys matter, only the boys are worthwhile about talking about educating, and that will filter down generation after generation after generation, and it's the ones that kind of have anything to do with the boys, be it from a social point of view, from a work point of view, from a romantic point of view, that are the ones that end up suffering because that person is so entitled and narcissistic in their outlook and their view about the world and others, and how the world and others should just respond to them because of their formative years. That's exactly what they've been used to. And when, of course, because life doesn't work like that, that doesn't happen, of course, they'll, all those, that sense of entitlement and, wanting to feel unique, special, admired, all that will just come out in buckets. And often because they are so aggressive in that nature, they end up getting what they want because people are fearful of them. They are scared of them. They are scared of their reaction. They are scared of what may happen to them, their family, if they don't let the narcissist get away with it. So of course, what does that do? That just puffs up their sense of entitlement even more. If I could ask you to like, subscribe and click the notification bell, that's just great, because it just gets more videos out this to more people, and the more people that know about narcissists, the better it is for them. Thanks ever so much. So that's one side, the entitled side, and that's often the grandiose narcissist. And sure, you can think of plenty of examples, always in the news, of a grandiose narcissist that just cannot see anything at all from anybody else's point of view. So, and on the other side, we have the narcissist that has come from, if you like, depravity. It's not quite the right word, but they've come from a sense of they've had to make it themselves. Now, their narcissistic tendencies will always have been there, But the fact that they got ignored, or they feel that they got ignored, that they didn't get everything that should be their right, they didn't go to the right school, they didn't have the right friends, they didn't have the right family, they didn't have the right money, you name it, they didn't feel that they had. And they've made themselves to the point that they have got. That has to be protected. So, that is where that narcissistic trait comes from. So it's from one or other. And that's often the sort of like the vulnerable, the covert narcissist. They're a bit more sneaky. They're a bit more sly. They're a bit more not so much in your face. The overt narcissist, that, the one previous that has come from the entitlement, they are really in everybody's face, whereas the covert narcissist isn't so much. And they're the ones to look out for, because they're both equally as damaging as each other in their own ways. But the covert narcissist can be even more damaging, because you don't realise what they are and what they are doing and what they're capable of. So just bear in mind that's where narcissists come from. So narcissists, they really have either side, they, covert, overt, they have such a elevated sense of themselves. Now, whether it's come from somebody else that just puffed that up, the mum from the past perhaps, or the dad from the past, or they've done it themselves and they've just surrounded themselves with people in their lives that will be their enablers, their ego puffers. They have such a thin veneer. All narcissists are super sensitive to any form of criticism or any slight, they're sulk for, monumentally if they feel that somebody isn't recognising them for the marvellous person that they are. So they have such an elevated sense of self, but it is paper thin. So anything could come along that they perceive may damage that, may sort of like devalue that, and they can be really nasty people. Narcissists, I think people think of them sometimes almost like as, people that they just have to put up with. They don't have to have too much to do with, say, if it's a social or a work situation. But actually, they can be really damaging individuals if they feel that they aren't getting their own way about something. They want status. They seek status all the time, because a narcissist wants to be up here by themselves and everybody else is on this level here. That is so typical narcissist. They want to be there. You have to be there. Looking up at them, basically, giving them the status. It's not wrong to kind of think about narcissists thinking of themselves as being godlike creatures. It's not so far. It's a little bit over the top, you might think, but it isn't so far. If you think of kind of well-known narcissists, around the world, I think we can think of that admiration and that status that they seek all the time, because the reason underneath every single narcissist is their ego, their fragile little kind of brittle ego, that sense of self that they have about themselves, which is puffed up, which is, they don't rely on what they have genuinely done in life for other people, for themselves perhaps, but they cannot rely on their own achievements or those of others that they may have helped along the way. They don't help people. So that sense of self, that ego, is brittle and it is fragile. And it is at any moment waiting, again, remember the supersensitive criticism, they are waiting for anything at all to come along and burst that. So, of course, anything that isn't 100% positive to a narcissist is perceived as a threat. What do you do with the threat? You are angry at it, you push it away, you shout it down, whatever it is. Those are the things, that's how narcissists always operate. Now, I have had people that have been in relationships with narcissists for absolutely years. They may have been family relationships, they may have been friendships, kind of not that narcissists have many friendships, but I think you know what I mean. They may have been romantic relationships, they have been in relationships with narcissists for years. And the thing is, they do not change. It is a trait. It is a characteristic. You might as well ask somebody to change, the colour of their eyes, the amount of fingers that they have on a hand, than ask a narcissist to change. They can modify their behaviour if it suits them, because remember, narcissists have a level of empathy, but only to themselves. So be very, very aware of how narcissists behave. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow for more, and I'll see you again soon.